Welcome to Fact of Life. In this space, we dive deep into the art of living wisely and well. I am Gideon Oben, and today we'll be exploring a topic that seems a little bit counterintuitive in our lives, and it's our noise-filled world that we're living in. We're about to talk about the profound impact of talking less, speaking only if it improves upon our lives or upon our silence. Mama Gandhi once said that. In a society that celebrates the extroverted, where being heard often means speaking louder and more frequently, there is an understanding or underestimated strength in silence. So if you're more silent, people see you that it's a strength. Let's look at this. In listening and choosing our words with intentions today in the world that we live in, it's also another superpower. Let's delve much more into the quiet power. And we are going to talk about the power of silence. Silence is often uncomfortable. It's a space we rush to fill with words, sounds, or anything to keep the void at bay. For example, me, I like to play a lot of music because when I'm sitting in silence and when I'm in a moving vehicle and it's really quiet, I just can't get into the groove of driving properly. And I know this can relate to a lot of people too as well. But what if we embrace it instead of seeing it as a bad thing? What if we embrace it, just like the Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher, taught that silence is a source of great strength. Silence gives us room to think, to reflect, to connect with ourselves on a much deeper level. Hence, in silence, we found the space between thoughts, where insight and creativity flourish. It's where we can also hear the world more clearly and perhaps understand it a little bit better. With all the chaos going around the world, if you stay quiet, keep quiet, and look around, you may have a lot of understanding of why things are going the way they are. Speaking of understanding, Stephen R. Carvey, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he once remarked that most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. And I've heard this saying a lot, and I'm starting to believe it's actually correct because the reactive way of communication hinders true understanding and connection. If someone is talking and you're not listening, you're just reacting to it, there's not going to be communication at the end of the day. Mindful speaking then is about being thoughtful about when we speak, what we say, and what we are saying. It's about letting your words pass through three gates that I call it. Number one, is it true? Number two, is it necessary? And then number three, is it kind? What's coming out of your mouth? You got to relate. You got to be able to relate. Is it true what you're saying? Is it necessary? Or is it kind? The ancient Sufi saying reminds us that our words have power. Yes, indeed. It's got the power to heal. Our words got the power to hurt. Our words also has the power to connect or alienate, which I've seen a lot of that around of late, and there's a lot of division. By choosing them with care, we wield the power wisely. So choosing your words right gives you some sort of a superpower. So I was thinking about this the other day and I wanted to share it here. How can we practice talking less and making our words count more whenever we talk? And then I came up with certain suggestions. I know some people may have an understanding or a different type of ideas about this. But I think the first thing that we could do as people is we pause before we speak. What I mean by that is you give yourself a moment to consider the value of your contribution, what's about to come out of your mouth. You pause and think about it for a second and understand that if it's what value does it hold? Number two, active listening, which one of my really weakest point. I sometimes I just feel the need to say something, even when the person that's already speaking is not done yet. And my main reason is because sometimes I feel like I will forget what I have to say if I don't say it right there and then. But with a lot of training and discipline and restrictions, I'm working on that. I'm pretty sure if we all work on that, it's gonna go a long way to help us out too, so that we can actually focus fully on the speaker without planning a response. You don't have to plan a response. You wait and let your words fully land before you think about what you want to say. Number three, speak with intention. Aim for the words to be truthful. Necessary, like I said, is it kind? And that's the last point. So we got to remember that it's a journey. To speak less. It's a long journey. I'm on a journey myself. We start small, perhaps with a single conversation, and observe the impact. Like you start a conversation, you go ahead and see how much you said less and how much impactful it was. And then we go on from there. So then I have another question. A follow up question is, as many of us share our stories where we began started realizing that it's not necessary to always try to explain ourselves and talk less. In a new depth of my understanding moving forward, I've gotten a lot of clarity to with my to my own thoughts, or simply I have gotten a lot of peace in understanding that I don't always have to talk a lot to explain myself. When I really know that what I'm saying is not going to be heard or it's not going to be transcribed as I intend to do. Many of us have stories and where they explain themselves, and then it gets to a point they realize, huh, what am I even doing? There's really no point in explaining myself because then it's not going to be heard by the person I'm trying to convey the message to. So there's a voice that doesn't use words. Um, there's this great poet called Rumi, started writing in the 13th century. Once wrote, "In the space between our words, there is a language deeper and more profound than words can ever capture." I am not intending to make this episode a really long one at all. It was just me trying to essentially just put it out there and talk about practicing the act of speaking less. When I talk about speaking less, I'm not saying that you just basically out of the most of the time, like 80% of the time or 60% or whatever the measurement will be out of the day, you just talk less relatively, like in terms of that. What I'm saying is you pick and choose your fight. You pick and choose what you're going to worry about. You pick and choose what you're going to relate to, and stuff like that. So in doing that, you will find out. I actually personally have come to find out that um there are certain situations and certain assertions that were put on me, and there's certain instances that I found myself in, just because I wasn't keeping quiet. I wasn't shutting up. I recently posted a video on my Instagram. Is a video from this guy. I can't remember what it was, but he's another a podcaster. And then he said it straight up, like, keep quiet. In all things, you keep quiet. Popcorn, the iconic reggae dancehall artist from Jamaica, made it even much clearer in his songs. And one of them, my favorite, he says, when you buy a new Beamer, you have to be careful who you talk to. You When you buy a new car, You have to be careful who you tell about. And then he loves his family, but then he just doesn't trust people enough, because people will use your own words against you and you didn't even mean what they are saying. But then if you compare what they're saying or the understanding of what you said, you're going to find out you're not going to be able to kind of like get yourself out of that situation just because you did say something. And Oprah Winfrey said it even more better. She said, in a situation or in a time where you don't know what to say nothing. In a situation or when you're pushed to a corner in life where you don't know what to do or the next plan of action, do nothing. Because by doing nothing, you actually get a lot of options. I found out you get a lot of options sent over to you because you did nothing. And so all your options that you could have taken at the time, they're still there. Some are negative, some are positive. But since you haven't made a choice yet, they're still going to sit and wait for you till you decide. And time and patience really always win. When you take your time, when you're patient in making decisions, most of the time you can actually come up with something better instead of you rushing to do it. I am going to wrap up this episode today. Like I said, I'm not going to take so much time, but I invite you to explore the power of talking less in your own life. What spaces might open up, you think? What depth might you find or be able to arrive by using the silent act, I call it. Thank you, beautiful people, for joining this journey today. If this episode spoke to you or in any way related to you at all, share with someone who might also find value in silence. And until next time, let's all strive to listen more, speak less with intention, and discover the strength in silence. And I am out. Peace.